Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you? Thank you for that introduction, and many thanks to all of today's sponsors, including AECOM and WeWork. I want to give you a shout out. WeWork for sponsoring now the second year in a row, and Kelly at AECOM was an early part of the Garcetti administration's gender equity work, so thank you for that, Kelly. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. If there's one thing that this gathering proves, it's that women are on the move in LA. And because of this, LA is stronger and safer, and our city, our state, and our country are more prosperous and more just. I want everyone here to please take a look around this room. We are joined here today by activists and advocates, by businesswomen, nonprofit leaders, philanthropists, government workers, and an awful lot of men who care about women's social inclusion and their professional advancement. Together, all of us here are committed to the ideals of fair representation and equal opportunity, and determined to make those ideals a reality. Because of all of our work together over the past few years, more women and girls are exposed to and excelling in science, technology, and engineering in LA. More of them are finding success as entrepreneurs and thriving as athletes on our city's sports fields. More of them are advancing in leadership at our city's transportation department, our building and safety department, our emergency management department, and the list goes on and on. Here in LA, we are showing the world what is possible when we actually do something to advance the status of women and girls, rather than simply pay lip service to their needs and their dreams. Supporting women and girls and advancing their interests have been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. Starting in high school, I counseled young girls at summer camp. I mentored 2 girls in middle school who had difficult family lives. I argued with male teachers who tried to teach math by using baseball analogies. And I argued with male coaches who didn't think girls should train on free weights. Do we have any firefighters, police officers in here? I mean, please, that's so ridiculous. After college, I worked with displaced homemakers. This is a fancy term for women who exit the labor market to raise their children and often find that they have been left behind professionally when they go back to building their careers. Like many of you here today, I have fought for decades for better services for the survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault. I fought for women who do not have homes, who do not have medical care for their families, who don't have decent jobs or paid family leave. My husband, right here, has been equally passionate about these issues all the way back to his days as a college student, when he was an early supporter of hate crimes legislation and the Violence Against Women Act, which amazingly continues to come under attack by our most conservative politicians. The gender equity work Eric and I have done together represents a lifelong commitment for both of us, not simply because it's the right thing to do, because it's the smart thing to do as well. Like all of you here today, we know that diverse workforces are more productive, we know they're more innovative, and we know that our society cannot meet 100% of its potential if we sideline over 50% of our talent. So even though Eric and I have worked on these issues throughout our lives, these past years, we have felt a special obligation to do even more to spur progress. Cynicism about government is far-reaching these days, and yet government historically has often been an effective force for equal opportunity and civil rights. Local government in particular has been a tremendous laboratory for change in recent years. Today, we are here to show all that is possible when local government takes clear, concerted action and places gender equity front and center. Starting with day one of the Garcetti administration, we have found okay, everybody hold on to your seats, that it's really not that hard to find incredible, qualified women who get the job done. It's amazing. So all we have to do in government, all we have to do in the private sector, all we have to do at our nonprofits is to actually make a point of recruiting them into jobs and into leadership roles. Early on, the Garcetti administration reached gender parity in its board and commission appointments and eliminated all of this city's all-male boards and commissions. It recruited numerous new women to serve as department heads. It advanced the position of women in the mayor's office, thereby almost completely closing the gender pay gap in the mayor's office. As you all know, that's nothing to sneeze at in a country where women still earn just 80 cents to the male dollar, and where government is said to lag behind the private sector in the progress it makes. But that is not true here in the city of Los Angeles. Our city's leadership now looks like the face of our city in a way that it never has before, and it is more fairly comprised of Latinas and African Americans and Asian Americans and members of the LGBT community as well. Today, more women than ever are serving in leadership roles in non-traditional fields in the city of LA, and the responsibilities they are shouldering are immense. Ana Guerrero over here is the first Latina chief of staff to a big city mayor in America. A woman is leading our airport. Our airport is the busiest airport for tourism in this country. A woman leads our Department of Transportation, helping to roll out Measure M, which is the largest local investment in transportation, ×2 in this country. A woman heads up the mayor's innovation team, one of the only female-run innovation labs in the world. That woman, Amanda Daflos, who's in here somewhere working very hard, I'm sure, also helms the Garcetti administration's work on gender equity, which we are here today to celebrate. Where is Amanda, by the way? She's at the girls' conference. She's at the girls' conference engaging in storytelling, is my guess. As a contribution to this gender equity work, our city's General Services Department is promoting an unprecedented number of women to roles as supervisors in this city. Our Bureau of Street Lighting is now led by a woman for the very first time. Our city's ITA has recruited so many talented women that they now make up 40% of our city's computer programmers. That is a remarkable figure when you consider that just 21% of programmers in the US as a whole are women. More women than ever before are working as engineers in our city. Our engineering department is now 27% female. And if you think that sounds small and insignificant, I want you to consider that this represents a 75% increase in female engineers in the city. And I want you to also consider that in our country as a whole, only 11% of engineers are women. What's more, every single department that hires engineers has increased the number of women in their shops in the city of Los Angeles. Women are on the move at the LA Police and Fire departments too. Both departments have updated their communications materials to showcase female police officers and firefighters who look more like the city they serve and the residents they protect. This simple but vital step means that women are no longer as invisible as they once were, and that this city is able to make gains in diversifying who it attracts to its workforce. The city of LA is now hiring female firefighters at double the pace it did a decade ago. Thankfully, outpacing the rate at which the last generation of great female firefighters in this city are now retiring. In the fire department's most recent applicant pool, almost 10% of candidates for training are women. And if you don't know anything about firefighting in America, that's a phenomenal statistic. Female hires at the police department are up by 26% over the last fiscal year. At the LAPD, these numbers are undoubtedly going to increase further because of the city's new Pledge to Patrol program. This program allows Angelenos to work for the police force while getting their college degrees. And guess what? Half of the participants in this innovative new program are women. The first graduate of this program to become a police officer was also a woman. There are stories and statistics like this in almost every single department in this city. Some of them reflecting remarkable jumps in representation and others reflecting more modest advancements. But the point is the progress is being made on all fronts, even in some of the most intractable areas. And we're now clearly seeing what government can achieve when it is focused and performing at its best. This gender equity agenda, which is changing the face of leadership in LA, is also changing how LA government services are delivered and the types of programs that your government implements. We can see the impact of our gender equity work and values at our public libraries, where administrators at the Full Steam Ahead program have been steadfastly committed to fairly recruiting and involving girls in their science, technology, engineering, and math programming. And they're committed at the public library as well to further expanding opportunities for girls through additional robotics and coding classes. We can see the impact of our city's gender equity work at Hire LA's youth. This program connects teens to internships and employment. It is more than tripled in size under my husband's leadership, and it fairly includes young women in the jobs that are available to teens in this city. We can see the impact of our gender equity work in the implementation of the city's sexual assault response team program, which now serves 1,200 victims each year, and in the fact that no rape kit in this city has gone untested for 5 years. We can see our impacts in the growth of our domestic abuse response team program, which now serves 4 times as many victims as it previously has served. The DART program, by the way, you may all not know, used to rely upon philanthropic dollars to survive. Mayor Garcetti funded this program for the first time in the LA City budget, first time in history 2 years ago. We can see our city's commitment to gender equity in the 4 family justice centers that the city helped open and now helps to administer, the most recent of which is located in the Central Bureau, where 300 victims of the worst kinds of physical domestic abuse have received services in just the past few months alone. I could go on, and clearly I'm capable of it. But all of you out there know of something I didn't mention because there are so many of you that have worked on these issues. Your local leaders across the board now understand the widespread challenges that women disproportionately face as they seek to keep safe in their relationships, in their neighborhoods, and in their places of employment. That's why the mayor's office developed and launched My Voice LA, the new online system for reporting sexual misconduct and workplace discrimination. My Voice LA is a site built internally by City Hall staff who are proving how innovative local government can be. It's designed to make it as easy as possible for people who are employees and contractors in the city of Los Angeles to file harassment and discrimination complaints. It is our way to give everyone who works for this city a chance to speak out against injustice. Another program that is allowing young women in particular to speak out, but in positive ways, is the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment's new Ignite LA program. There's a supporter or a participant over here. Ignite LA, which teaches young women about the importance of civic participation, graduated 50 students in its first cohort and will graduate over 100 students in its second cohort next month. The skills These young women are learning, are preparing for them, helping them to prepare to serve on the Mayor's Youth Council. They're helping them prepare to serve at your neighborhood council system. They are helping them to run for office into the future if they so choose to do. At the Department of Rec and Parks, which I'm going to say something more about later, the Garcetti administration is currently embarked upon an ambitious plan to recruit more women to serve as referees, umpires, and coaches on our playing fields. And I'm extraordinarily proud to announce today that Nike, where is Nike here? I know Nike's in the house somewhere. Nike is going to partner with the LA Parks Foundation to support the department in its work on this front in two important ways. First, they're going to help the city of LA to train an additional 400 women aged 16 and older to coach basketball, softball, volleyball, and soccer by the end of this fiscal year through a program called Girls Coach LA. And second, Nike is going to help us expand our women's referee and umpire program. This is just the beginning of what I know is going to be a fruitful and long relationship with Nike, and I want to thank them for their extraordinary generosity in helping to bring more women into key roles at our Department of Recreation and Parks. Thank you so much for being part of today. Like the Department of Recreation and Parks, which I have worked closely with over the past years, every one of this city's departments has developed a gender equity action plan. And as part of these plans, every department is collecting better data where service provision for women and girls are concerned. They are setting goals for themselves and they're tracking progress against those goals, thereby ensuring that gender equity is a core government value and a purposeful aim of government across the board. We have a lot more in store for our future. All of the women commissioners in this room know that, especially the women who serve on the Women's Commission. All of the women who are now serving in leadership in this city know that. But I want to close my comments by sharing, as I did last year, about how each of you can help with a particular and immediate need here in the city of LA. You'll recall last year I did a call to action for us to get behind some of the girls in the city of Los Angeles who lacked all sorts of opportunities. And I want to talk to you about our city's homeless today. Over the course of the past year, several of you have joined me as I have visited each of the homeless shelters here in the city of Los Angeles that disproportionately serve women. We've spent time serving meals. We've prepared apartments for newly housed residents. We've equipped women with professional clothes for the workforce. We've helped organize new clothes for their children as they return to school. And now I want to invite all of you here today to make a contribution toward that work. Because when we all participate in some way in addressing our city's current homeless crisis, which disproportionately affects this kind of woman, a woman who's a victim of human trafficking, a woman who's a victim of sexual assault, a woman who is a victim of domestic violence, we will turn this tide, this horrific tide, on its head. And I want to tell you about a new project involving a partnership between the Mayor's Fund and the YWCA Bridge Housing Program in Hollywood, which will include just over 60 beds initially, but will grow to serve hundreds of women each year as they cycle through the facility, receiving housing navigation services on their way to permanent housing. I want to encourage you to go to the Mayor's Fund website. It's mayorsfundla.org to learn more about how you can lend a hand to the women who will be living at this site. I want you to look at your placards on the table. By investing in hygiene kits or bedding and towels, or by helping residents pay for transportation to job interviews, by all sorts of means. At a conference like this, with our combined resources and commitment, we can make a real difference in the lives of the numerous women who are living on the sidewalks of LA, who are struggling with mental illness, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and more to the point, personal trauma. So let's act. Please log in from your, or as my husband says, log on. I'm not allowed to say log in. Log on from your phones or the iPads that are on your tables to see how you can help some of the more than 6,000 women who are currently unsheltered in our city, about whom my husband is going to speak more later. None of us can do everything in this city, but every single one of us can do something in these urgent times, and anything we can do to aid women without homes, thereby improving services and programming for our city's most vulnerable residents, is the most important kind of progress that we can make on these issues of equity in our city. I want to thank all of you for caring about women and girls. I want to thank you for seriously considering how you can help meet the needs of some of this city's most disadvantaged residents. And I promise you all that if we act together, we can move mountains in this city. Thank you for being here. So we're going to segue to the next segment of our program, which I am going to introduce, and Eric is going to hold the award. Among the ways we build our city now is by empowering the girls who will lead our city in the future. That's the ultimate goal of the program that we are going to honor today. Girls Play LA. This program is changing lives on and off the field, and it's opening doors previously closed to way too many girls in our city's various communities. About 3 years ago, Eric and I learned from Mike Schul, who's right here, who's the head of our Recreation and Parks Department, if you don't know him. We learned from Mike because Mike came to us and said that in the context of gathering data, he had learned that girls comprise just 25% of our city's sports participants, while boys comprised about 75%. We all knew that had to change, in part because we know that national trends indicate that girls are playing sports nearly as often as their male peers. So we all got to work, and by that I mean Mike and his team got to work. They started by regrowing our city's girls volleyball program, which had been decimated by budget cuts, because in a city where club volleyball and our local college teams dominate nationwide, we shouldn't be leaving anyone off the court. And they continued to plan for the future by thinking about how we can further grow girls' participation in sports like soccer and basketball, because in a city with 2 professional soccer teams and 3 pro basketball teams, including the WNBA champion LA Sparks, we simply could not say with a straight face that we were doing our part to promote fair access to sports leagues and coaching. With Mike and his leadership team, we set an almost impossible goal of moving from 25% girls' sports participation to 40% girls' sports participation in 2 years. And guess what? We surpassed that goal. 42% of the kids playing sports in the city of Los Angeles are now girls. And I want you to hear what this means in real numbers. 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, 20,000 girls were playing sports in the city of LA. And now 40,000 girls are playing sports in the city of LA. And your city department accomplished this without taking a single dollar or single sports slot away from boys' sports programming. They hired 10 new coordinators. They expanded to 88 sites. They secured support from the LA Parks Foundation, the LA Mayor's Fund, the Annenberg Foundation, represented here today with Cindy, my seatmate, LA 84, who I'm sure is in the house somewhere. There's Renata right there. Thank you, Renata. And they helped the city secure a $10 million commitment from the Clippers, which is going to take us over the finish line, ensuring that girls have parity in sports and fitness program in the city of LA. I want to invite you all to check out this video and learn more about the work that they're doing here in the city of Los Angeles.